Hello and welcome to the show. Like all times, this episode also features one of the prominent personalities who would have a sharing and giving of experience. Every episode brings in a special personality who is here to inspire you, to give something out of his heart. This episode is no different. In the studio today we have the former President of Nigeria, General Obasanjo. General Obasanjo, born in a small village in northern Nigeria, rose to the ranks of military general, became the president, and also oversaw the transformation of military power to a democratic power. He also ushered the nation into a developing economy. With his range of experiences, there is a lot that he has to offer to us. Come, let us draw inspirations from him. Mr. Obasanjo, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Your journey has been an amazing one, coming from a military background, then moving on to become the president, then leading the democratic process, leading elections in your country, and then transfer of power, then again coming back to politics, going to jail, facing so much of criticism, then creating positivity again back. It almost seems like a Cinderella story. Somebody who had to suffer so much, rose to power, gave hope to people, and he was questioned again, and yet he built a positive rapport for himself. How was your journey? How did you transcend through a military career to politics and then to being a leader of a nation?
Thank you very much. I think you've covered in a matter of 1 minute almost my entire life, except that you left out my early life, my birth. I was born and bred in a village. So, strictly speaking, I'm a product of rural life. And as I always say, I went to school only by accident. Otherwise, I could jolly well not have gone to school. And then my life started going up from the time my father decided to send me to school, because my father and my mother were pure illiterate. But my father, in spite of his lack of education, appreciated the value of education. And so I was sent to school. I started school in the village, and when I got to the end of the school in that village, I went to the town, and then finished my primary school, went to secondary school, left secondary school. I had to make a choice of what to do. I could go into to work with the private sector, work with government, or even work in institutions like taking up teaching, or even becoming a pastor or something like that. I chose to go into the private sector and work with the private sector. The leading commercial and trading firm in the country in the mid-1950s. From there, I thought I didn't have enough time to keep on improving myself educationally, so I went into teaching, and from there I went into the military, trained first of all in the joint military institution for British West Africa in the 1950s, and then went to UK, and I got commissioned as an officer, and my journey continues in the military. Quite steady progress, and training continues. Part of my training I had here in India, a staff college in Wellington, in Uti.
In Uti, yeah.
So that was very very impactful and useful for me. From there, I went to Pune, now called Pune, the College of Engineering. I spent a short time there and then went back home. I went back home. Coup took place in my country. Unfortunately, I managed not to be dragged into that, but it was a bit turbulent for the military and for the country. It led to the Civil War. I participated in the Civil War and brought the Civil War to an end fortuitously. And then I returned to the Corps of Engineers where I had been. And then after that, my military training continued. I went to the Royal College of Defence Studies in Britain. And then came back. The military government, I became a minister in that military government, a minister for works and housing. And it was in that role that there was another coup which brought me in as number 2 in the country. And within 6 months of us in that government thinking that we are doing the best for our country, there was another coup, and my leader got assassinated in that coup, and I took over. And the political program for returning the country to democracy was instituted and was followed and handed over. And then I had 20 years interregnum from 1979 to 1999.
What is more interesting about this 20-year interregnum is, before that, you had the supreme power to run the country for 3 years. And you surprisingly, as it was promised by your previous leader, that you would come back to democracy. You drove the entire country back to democracy. You made sure that the democratic process happened. Somebody who has had this humble background and grown to such greater levels, educated, served people as a capacity as a minister, being the leader of the country for 3 years, do you not think that that power made you to stick to that power? How did you...
Now, there were even people who, both internally and externally, who thought that, oh yes, you shouldn't hand over. After all, my predecessor who made the promise or who stood for handing over had been assassinated. It's now your own regime. But I believe that was wrong, because I was part and parcel of that program. In fact, I did the, if you like, the spade walk, and we worked together. And I believe that for any man or any person, your word must be taken seriously. You give your word is your promise, is your bond, and you mustn't move away from it. So it was necessary for that you should be trusted as a human being. You have said it, and you must live up to it. And that was very important. And I believe that for any human being living in this world, don't make a promise which you will not keep. Rather than not keep your promise, people must find you there and probably say to you, well, look, this is too much for you, and we understand. Rather than kill yourself, get out of it, or we get you out of it. That should be what should be the life of any individual. After all, what is man for? You are for peace, you are for truth, you are for standing for what you believe in, and you are for making other people, giving joy and satisfaction to other people. And it shouldn't be how long, but how well. And that part of how well is how you end up, irrespective of how you get there. And how you end up is important. And I ended up doing what I believe I should do. In recent times, I was the first African leader, military, that worked out strenuously and steadily to hand over to a democratically elected government in Nigeria, and that making Nigeria the first, and making me a pioneer of some sort.
So when you say about these things, it even though you are humbling it very meekly, saying that we should have done much more, but it is already more than what somebody could expect. Where the world sees it, it is a huge leap from where things were before and where the country stands today. Your whole journey encompasses a lot of positivity, a lot of hope that you gave to people, and that has led to great amounts of growth and development and to people also. So where do you think that in all of your journey, and in today's times which are challenging and there are more challenges that are coming, where do you think spirituality, positivity and the right frame of mind about being hopeful always, how does all of this help? Is it relevant to today's needs?
Well, I am an incurable optimist, and I believe that you cannot be an incurable optimist without spirituality. There must be something there that gives you hope, and a life without hope is lifeless. If I can put it that way, that will be interesting. But you must have hope. My hope is that there's a supreme being, that's God, has everything in his control. I always say that God is in charge and in control. Not just in charge, but also in charge and also in control. Now, if you believe that nothing happens by mistake, I don't believe so. God has a plan. Now, my constant prayer is that my own desire, my plan, objective may be in tandem with the plan of God. And when that happens, you are a winner. You are victorious. And there isn't anything you can do for yourself. You must believe that there is God. God of peace, God of truth, God of joy and satisfaction, God who looks at you and fashion out everything for you. And once you believe in that and you do your best, I believe then you are there. God does not create you to be negative. He creates you to be positive. Negativity is for lack of a better way, is satanic. It's not the work of God. It's the work of Satan. And then, why should you be negative? When this world, we are the same God, the same family, and one world. Now, whatever we do that is not according to the purpose and the will of God is not of God. It's not even of the content of you as a human being. Because the content of you as a human being is purity, and truth, not falsehood, not imperfection. God creates that we should always continue to strive for perfection. Continue to strive for perfection, because God is God of perfection. And if you have God in your life, you have everything.
Mr. Obasanjo, you came to India. You've been to India before. You've been to your college here. You did part of your military training here. You come back to India again. You've been to India before as well. But here, this time, you've come to the Brahma Kumaris headquarters. You're the guest of honor for the conference. You spoke to so many people. You had the opportunity to see the Brahma Kumaris headquarters here. You also had the opportunity to meet Dadi Janki, the chief of the Brahma Kumaris. How was your experience of coming here, seeing everything, meeting people?
I have always wanted to come. I was invited, and in fact, I was late in arriving because there was a requirement for me to attend a national meeting on security in my country, which prevented me from coming earlier. I have been impressed with what I have seen, where people genuinely believe that the world can be a world of peace, that the world can be one family, that the world can really be a world where everybody will enjoy the gift of God to the world in terms of abundance of what God has given to the world. And I believe these are things that are possible. Why do we have so much violence in the world? Why do we have poverty in the world when God has given us everything that we need for our satisfaction? And as I said yesterday, now God is the provider, but God provides for the need of everybody. God does not provide for the greed of people. Now, part of the failure of humanity is the greed, and that is what I believe must be the message. And that is the message from here, that yes, the world can be better, but the world will only be better when we individually and collectively do what we should do. Now, I always say, you cannot give peace if you do not have peace.
Exactly.
And yet, God creates us to be people of peace. So, if you don't have peace in you, you cannot transmit peace. So, it must start from you. It must start from you and from me. I must give what I have. And if we all give what we have, peace, joy, tranquility, commitment, love, and caring and sharing, then the world will be a better place. There's no doubt about that. And that is what I have seen here, and that is what I'm taking away. Because I have been confirmed in what I believe in, that yes, the world can be better, but it is we, citizens of the world, that can make it better through the will of God.
It is amazing, Baba. You have said that whatever you have seen is what something you had believed in, and you said that that is something that you could see here, and you also said it very beautifully, that it is a message that you would want to give to the world, that if we want to bring peace, we have to start from within. And if I have it, then I can give it, and then we can certainly, with all of us, we can create a better world. I think there is more that I could ask you and more that I could take from you, but with the time that we have, I think I would request you to come back again and again to India, and we would want you to share your views, your thoughts, and your great ideas with the people.
Shrith, I thank you very much. I will want to be here. You know, India is like a second home to me. I had part of the better part of my military training and military interaction here in India, in Wellington, in Uti, in South India. And that experience will last me till the end of my life. I'm always grateful for that experience.
Thank you, Mr. Obasanjo, for coming on the show. And indeed, Our audience would love to hear from you again and again. Thank you so much for coming. It's a great pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Friends, that was Mr. Obasanjo for you. He put his heart out and he wore it on his sleeve. His journey has been an inspiration, and of course there is a lot that we can draw from it. His sharings today spanned over positivity, his hope for something better, and the plan of a better world. Even when you don't have a plan, always remember that there is a plan and it is going to work. With a lot of positivity and hope to you, that's all for this show. We'll see you again. Till then, take care.